What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Postgame Podcast. I'm here with Cory Smith, Pack Power editor. I'm here with Michael. Okay, I've got.
Hey, you just grabbed that coffee. You are good.
Yeah,
my dad does that, so don't feel alone.
It's not coffee with Cory, but I absolutely needed some coffee here from the house. It's been a crazy last 48 hours, but not Michael Clark. Miles Masercola, basketball analyst for Pack Power 247. Miles. NC State, an 82-73 win. This is a game. I mean, it was, the final score. I started to write dominant, and I knew right once I write the word dominant, people are going to be like, "Oh, but it wasn't. It was close. They didn't beat the spread." Okay, but it felt from start to finish like NC State once they got ahead and they got out, up to 12. I think at times, a pretty big lead in this game. It never felt out of control for them. It felt like they were fully in control, in the driver's seat the entire game, come away with a 6th straight win in ACC play, the first time since 1973-74 that's happened. Seems like a lot of things here recently from the 74 team, which is 52 years ago, mind you. So just your thoughts on this game and what it meant for NC State too.
I think they did a really, really good job. I mentioned it in the takeaways that'll be up soon. Like counterpunching the counterpuncher, like every time they were able to establish the lead early, but Virginia Tech was able to go on runs, particularly in the second half. They got some offensive rebounds, and then Jaden Shutt hit a couple threes. And then right after that, they were able to cut it to 3. Trey Hollowman hits a big one, gets it back to 6. They foul a player on Virginia Tech. He splits at the line. It's back to 5. And then 2 possessions later, McNeel hits a 3. It's back up to 10. And then NC State kind of not coasted, but just cruise control through the rest of the game. And was able to get it done. They had a couple of those lapses at both ends of the floor where they hit a dry spell offensively, and then Virginia Tech was able to get some baskets. But for the vast majority of this game, complete total two-way control for NC State, and it was a collective effort.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Quadir Copeland, another unreal game from him. We'll talk about it here in just a second. Did have a few turnovers in this one, but balanced it with double-digit assists yet again. And 5 steals, so a big game from him. Also, big game offensively. I'm sure he would have liked to have a few of those points the other night to get a triple-double as opposed to 7, 10, and 16. But he will take it, I'm sure, with a win every single time. Also, Paul McNeel, huge game. We'll touch on all that. But before we get things really started, I want to remind our listeners, as always, visit our iTunes, Google Play Store, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere that you can get the podcast. Give us a rating. Let people know that you enjoy the podcast. Let us know. Give us the feedback as well on what we can do better, how we can change things. Also, make sure to hit like, subscribe, get notifications on YouTube, subscribe on any other podcast platforms so that you can get our content each and every single time we put it out. We do live podcasts post-game every single time, so you can check us out on here each and every single time. We try to do it immediately after the game. Sometimes it can be, the morning after based off of the lives that we lead, because we are actual people as well. So
yeah, I have such a hard time falling asleep as is. If we do a midnight podcast, it's over. Like the next day is a wrap.
I know. I was about to say we tried to do it on Tuesday night, and it was like, nope, maybe not. We're gonna have to wait a little bit longer on that. But yeah. All right, let's jump right into the recap here. Actually, no. Last thing I want to point out here, Pack Power 247. If you haven't checked it out, do make sure that you head over to the website. We do still have 2 months for $1 or 50% off your subscription. So if you're not wanting to lock in for an entire year, you can try it out 2 months for $1 and be able to check out all of our content throughout the rest of the basketball season, but also plenty of football coverage, baseball coverage, everything in between. We'll have plenty of basketball transfer portal coverage right after the season wraps. So there's a whole lot of things that you want to be locked in on over the next few months. Do make sure that you check that out. All right. I want to start this game. We mentioned it earlier, but I want to start right up front. Individual performance yet again from Quadir Copeland. Going back to the last 8 games, he has 83 assists over that stretch. The last 6 games now, which is NC State's 6-game winning streak, I believe he's now currently at 60 assists over that stretch. So, or actually, I take that back. Over the last 5 games, he has 50 assists. So I don't know exactly what the 6th game was. I need to go back and look. But regardless, the dude is averaging almost 10 assists per game over the last 6 games. NC State has been on an absolute roll, and it feels like he's just been, not even the spark plug, like the engine for this team. I think we call him the bus driver, you call him the engine, whatever you want to call him. he's been everything to this team and more than what you expected, especially preseason. But I would say even, midway through the season, you heard so much from Will Wade about like Darian Williams is gonna be our point forward. He's gonna start, handling the basketball more. Obviously, the two of them do still coincide with each other, but Quadir Copeland has been that dude for NC State over the last several games.
He's such a weapon. And I know he did have a couple turnovers tonight, which is tough coming off a 16 assists, 0 turnover game. But such a leader, so in control. Will Wade talked about post-game how he really puts the battery in the back of his teammates, really gives them confidence, makes them believers in themselves and each other. And his unselfishness is so contagious that when NC State's zipping the ball around, they just generate really, really good looks at a high frequency, and that's exactly what happened tonight. His production, his playmaking, all of it is at an all ACC level and a fringe All-American level right now for what he's doing for this team, especially with the way that they're winning. And that conversation is going to get louder and louder as the difficulty in the schedule starts to pick up. And if he's able to continue these performances and they're able to still win games.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, obviously you do have to keep that up in order for this to actually work out here. But yeah, I just added it up over the last 6 games, exactly 60 assists for him. So he's averaging exactly 10 assists per game. It's just, again, like you need those things for NC State to kind of make this entire thing work. But like you have so many other pieces. And I think like I talked about in the last game, like, NC State able to make Quadir Copeland the lead guy, but also it just, I said it last game. If you take him and put him on last year's team, or you put him on the year prior's team, like there's no way that he's putting together the type of numbers that he is right now. Happens to be top 3 in the country in assists that lead to made 3-pointers. So like it's clearly that has something to do with him driving pretty deep into the paint and being able to dish it out and having that court vision, but also guys being able to knock down shots. And Paul McNeel has been massive in that for NC State here in the last several weeks. Again, another big game from him too. 21 points for him in the starting lineup yet again. 4 of 7 from 3-point range, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Like that's another big number for him because obviously he's been a pretty good free throw shooter, but it always feels like if he gets fouled on a 3-pointer, he's always going to miss one of those. And it's like, all right, you might as well foul him if he's going to take a 3 and hopefully he doesn't make it, because there has been several times where I remember people being like, come on, man, like you're the best shooter on this team. How are you missing free throws? And it's happened from time to time. So again, another big number for him, but 21 points from him. Again, another game where, oh no, they did have 3 turnovers in this one. I knew he had a turnover. I didn't realize he had 3. So now up to 4 in the last 2 games. That's 4 in all of ACC play for him. So, that number is getting a little bit changed, but just your thoughts on his performance again today and what he meant to this team in his 27 minutes.
I feel like most of the shots he made were off of actions too. I think most of the transition threes were mostly Holloman, and a lot of at least 2 or 3 of Paul's 4 threes were off of actions. The one he got fouled on was definitely off of an action. I mean, we'll see if he becomes an NBA player. He's got a really good chance. He's undoubtedly an NBA level shooter.
Yeah.
Having someone that can make shots on the move at that range, at that level of efficiency, and then you combine that with a weapon like Quadir, who's got a very, very diverse one-on-one attack, can post you, can spin around you, can go through you if he needs to. That creates so much space for Quadir to operate. The gravity of Paul also allows the other guys to roam free. Van Allen to be open under the rim, and obviously if Darion's really going, it changes things too. But Paul is such a weapon with his ability to make shots, contested shots, deep range shots, and he's so settled into who he is. That's the biggest thing with this NC State team and why you're seeing them win. These kids all know exactly what their job is every single night, and they've done such a good job of executing it over the last 3 to 4 weeks. And now they're shining. And even on nights where not all of them do, Paul's able to put up 21 points on 8 field goal attempts, which is just unbelievable efficiency from him. And you can't expect that every night, but it's not shocking that he was able to do that again.
Yeah, and I mean, I pointed this out too, after the last game is another thing that's contributing to this. It's not a ton of production, but it's efficient production from the bench on a consistent basis. Like you got four of 9 from Matt Abel and Terrence Arsenault combined. They got 9 points. Matt Abel hitting one of his threes, which is big for him. We've heard Will Wade say like big games are coming from him. He's expecting some 15 to 20 point games from him down the stretch, and they're going to need it. Like when you're if teams are able to take away Darian Williams, like Virginia Tech was able to do today, especially at least from a scoring standpoint, not necessarily from an impact standpoint, from a scoring standpoint, and then you need somebody like a Matt Abel or a Moussa Sanye or Terrence Arsenault to step up in this game. You got efficient numbers from them on the from a scoring standpoint. You got 9 between the three of them. And Matt Abel played 21 minutes. Moussa Sanye played 13. Terrence Arsenault played 12. You got 9 points, 9 rebounds from the three of them combined, and then you got a steal from Moussa Sanye, a steal from Terrence Arsenault. So like you're getting the impact on both ends of the court from all three of them, and it just feels like this is becoming this. We were talking about the fact that they weren't doing a ton of construction. Now all of a sudden they're a ton back there.
I'm gonna mute myself while you talk here. Enjoy, guys.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to throw it back to you and actually say, like, just your thoughts on how complete of a team this is becoming now at this point, because you talked about, playing roles, but I mean, for a guy like Matt Abel, I'm sure there's still some games where he's like, God, I just want to be able to take 12 to 15 shots in this game, but that you're not, unless it's designed for you or unless you get in transition like he did on the one transition layup. I think it was Tre Holloman that fed him, halfway down the court, and he ends up getting that bucket in transition and finishes that. Like there's not a whole lot of design plays for them, but they're taking the most of their opportunities too.
Yeah, he had the three that he hit was definitely a design play for him, but he does a good job just getting it in the flow. He's a great transition player, and then we're gonna see. It's such a trend with freshmen around college basketball. They have these catch and shoot threes that they pass up on and look to drive off of. As he starts to take more of those, there's a few that are open each game. There's probably at least 2 a game that he should take where he drives and either drives into traffic and makes it or doesn't or ends up kicking out to somebody else and they reset. But there's a few of those a game. Another guy in the league that is starting to take and make these shots is Nick Kamania at Duke. He would be passing these looks up and taking more difficult shots at the rim. Matthew Abel, the game is continuing to slow down for him. You see the flashes. One of these games is coming, and I feel like it's going to kind of be an avalanche from there. But the talent is so obvious to anyone that's been, evaluating basketball players. He's such a clearly gifted player. And his production is a very, very needed thing for this team. And it's not going to have to be, 15, 20 points. Him getting 7 on 7 attempts off the bench is good enough most nights. But he's a really, really talented player. Might be the most gifted player on this roster.
Yeah, and another thing I was going to add too, I was just looking at the numbers for Quadir Copeland now over the last 6 games, by the way. I mentioned the assists, averaging 10 assists. The man is averaging a double-double with 15 points, 15.2 points per game, and 10 assists per game over that stretch. Also, the fact that, he's done a pretty decent job of rebounding. Like he's almost averaging 5 rebounds per game. So you'll take every bit of those numbers from him. Another guy that I wanted to point out here too, we talked about him a little bit, but Trey Hollowman, like a guy that, we kept talking about it for a little while there. You're waiting for, it was like a 3-game stretch after he came back from the injury. And it's like, all right, at some point, this guy is going to figure it back out. Like he's going to get back into the rhythm of the game. And I think all I did on the Postgame Podcast or during Coffee with Cory's was answer like, all right, who should be in the lineup over Trey Hollowman? Who should be the guy instead of Trey Hollowman? Like, should Trey Hollowman still be starting? And all he's done over the last 3 games is finish in double digits, scoring wise. Going back to the SMU game, he shot 44% in that game, 50% in the Wake Forest game. Today goes 6 of 10, so 60% shooting with 3 3-pointers in this game. Also finished with 2 assists. It's pretty crazy to say that he was second on the team with 2 assists, but that's just how much Quadir Copeland eats up those assists. NC State had 14 and he had 10 of them. But Trey Hollowman, I talked about the transition assists, but also just how well he's been handling the basketball 2 steals today as well, just making an impact in a ton of different ways. And it's great to see him really back in the flow of the game here lately too.
Yeah, he that was probably one of the 2 or 3 best games he's played in an NC State jersey today. Mm-hmm. He was both aggressive and calculated, which is super, super key for him. He needs to be looking to score the basketball. That's what he's out there to do for this team, and obviously defensively provide pressure on the ball. I think for all of these guys, Tre Hollowman has probably had the toughest natural adjustment in terms of style and roster fit.
Yeah.
Coming in, thought he would be a full-time point guard. Quadir Copeland has take that job and run with it. He's also playing a defense where they switch everything, and he's 6 feet tall, and that's not ideal for him. And he's done a good job when switched on to bigger guys. Like, he's one of the better guys at his size of guarding up in size that you'll find around the country. But he's taken these adjustments. He's had some games that he would like to forget, but he's just stayed the course, stayed ready, and he's found a way to succeed in the role that he's in. He's got to find himself open for jumpers. If he sees a mismatch off the bounce, exploit it. Go to the basket, make a play. He can be a quality secondary playmaker and initiator for this offense, whether Quadir's in the game or not in the game. And I think he's probably the last one to really settle into his role, and he's still found a way to be a positive contributor throughout that. But over the last week, it really feels like he's found his game and found himself in this NC State lineup. And today was a product of that, of just everything kind of coming together for him, both health-wise and mentally, fitting in with this group and the style of play that they like to go with.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention too, I mean, you know, like I know there's been a lot of like, did he from Michigan State fans that I see on Twitter every once in a while, and I think he's kind of commented back to some of those too. That's maybe driven it into my timeline. But like, there's been a lot of heat from Michigan State fans. Like, I can't believe that you would leave to take on a lesser role. Well, it hasn't really been a lesser role. He played 23.1 minutes per game last season with Michigan State. He's played 25 minutes per game with NC State so far this season. He's shooting less of a volume. He was shooting 8.2 shots per game last season. He's shooting 7 for NC State so far this season, but shooting significantly higher, shooting 43% so far from the field for NC State compared to 37% for Michigan State last year. Shooting almost 42% from three-point range after shooting 32.9% last season for Michigan State. So, again, you're seeing a lot of guys grow in this system, and I think a ton of it is because of the fact that you have so many shooters all over the floor that, you know, if you're going to bring gravity, if you're going to bring, you know, help defense to Paul McNeel, or you're going to try to cheat because Darian Williams is getting low, or you're trying to take him out of the game, or you're trying to cheat over on Quadir Copeland because he's driving to the basket, that's going to leave guys open. And if Trey Hollowman ends up being that guy, we saw it today, that one corner three that he got that was just absolutely wide open. And I mean, John Henson, for every bit of his, bad takes that he had today, especially including the fact that Will Wade went out and found Paul McNeel this offseason. Don't know how that happened exactly. He was already on the roster. But John Henson did say, he's like, you can't leave him open for that. He shoots over 40% from three. That's basically a layup for him if you're going to give him that opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, Trey Hollowman, I just want to give a little bit of Trey Hollowman appreciation here after another, he's had several good games here recently. This was his first, big, like, all right, he's here to stay. He's back.
And I think he's showing not only the fan base, but the coaching staff and the team that when he's playing well, the value that he provides. And you look at the shot selection he had tonight. He had the one shot get blocked at the rim that he made a really good move on. The defender did a great job recovering to block it. But the quality of shots that he took was so high. And that's the thing for him is those are going to be there. He's going to get 5 to 7 of those really, really high quality looks every single night just based on the players around him. And then if he's able to self-generate another 2 or 3 with exploiting the mismatches with how quick he is off the bounce, he's going to find himself, flirting with 12 to 15 just about every night from here on out if he's continuing to play with this approach. Yeah.
By the way, last 3 games, he's made 3 3-pointers in every single one of those. He's taken 18 shots. So he's 9 of 18, which is an even 50%. I'm not very good at math, but that's good. I can figure that one out. It's pretty decent from 3-point range for him. And then, I just wanted to talk about too, just the way that NC State won this game too, because the offensive end was good, but this is a Virginia Tech team that has been known to be very physical, like, defensively, offensively. They're going to try to beat you with their physicality. They're going to try to take away the three-point shot. NC State, 43% shooting from three-point range. Obviously, Paul McNeel and Tre Holloman contributed in a big way. They made 7 out of those 9 for NC State. But, this is a team that takes away the three-point shot. NC State, the best three-point shooting team in the ACC. From a statistical standpoint, easy for me to say. You put those together, it's like, all right, if Virginia Tech takes this away, how is NC State going to win this game? Well, they didn't. NC State found a way. Also, I felt like NC State, at least on the defensive end of the floor, was the more physical team, was the more scrappy team in this one. Multiple times where Quadir Copeland just picked Armani Hansberry's pocket. A couple times where he was able to generate turnovers. Hansberry finishes with 4 turnovers. Avaloas finished with 5 turnovers in this game. NC State's able to force 15 turnovers in this one and be able to generate that into 19 points off of turnovers. They both tie each other with 19 points off of turnovers. But again, you're able to kind of win that battle when that's something that Virginia Tech does a lot and does at a really, really high rate. So just your thoughts on the physicality and the way that NC State was able to kind of win that one today. You're still muted, by the way.
Yep. I just realized that. Yep, thank you. They were just able to dictate their flow early, offensively, and that allowed their defense to get set, and then they closed the half so strong defensively. I think it was a 12-3 run. They closed the half with, might have been right after, I think that started with the under 4. And when you're able to do that, it forces Virginia Tech to play frantically, and that is something that will allow them to maybe get back into the game, but it's not a sustainable practice. The thing that NC State is going to have to do is they're going to have to avoid these defensive rebounding, like 3-minute stretches where they just kind of forget how to defensive rebound.
Yeah.
If they're able to do that, that is huge for them defensively. But I think the way they close the first half is like is kind of similar to what you'll see a defensive ceiling for this team be, where they just limit possessions with their defensive rebounding, force teams into tough contested shots in the mid-range or at the rim. And do a good job closing out the three-point shooters, forcing them to drive more into traffic. And that's just being attentive, being alert, and being focused, which I know that's something that I mentioned a few weeks back. Like, that's still the next step that this team can go is their possession-by-possession focus and attention to detail. It's better than it was when I mentioned it a few weeks ago. It's still got another step to go, but it's better. Those lapses are fewer and far between, and they don't occur for as long.
Yeah, and I mean, what you were saying, too, it kind of goes back to what you said earlier in the podcast. Like, you mentioned that 12-3 run. Not only was the defense really good in that, but also just the fact of, like, hey, they were able to – that 12-3 run came right after a Bedford three-pointer that ends up getting the game down to 3 points. NC State only up 24-21. But, hey, they got to 24 points against Virginia Tech pretty early in this one. I'm not going to bring that one up. But at the 4:12 mark, to your point, that's when Paul McNeel hit a three-pointer. NC State goes on a single-handedly goes on an 11-0 run, and then they were able to get the free throw at the very end. You go from being only up by 3 with 4:13 left to go in the first half, and then end up getting it to a 12-point lead at the half. Again, those are moments like, all right, are you going to lose momentum here? Are you going to be able to cease a little bit of it back going into the half? And NC State was able to go on a massive run. Look, it's not like a 19-something run or anything along those lines, but a 12-3 run to get it back to 12 points at the half, get it to double digits at the half was pretty big and pretty significant for NC State. Any other things you wanted to point out in this one too before we roll out of here, man? I do want to preview. I do want to talk a little bit about Louisville too before we.
Yeah, we'll definitely touch on Louisville real quick before we slide out. But no, I think like I said, it's business as usual. Yeah. Not something that NC State is typically used to in the big picture or small picture thing, but get used to it. This team, like we've seen, they're capable of throwing out the occasional clunker. The Georgia Tech game sums that one up pretty well, but they do what they do. They play the way that they play consistently, and it works. It's worked, and as the schedule gets tougher, we're going to see where this team really stacks up amongst the ACC in the country. But they've set themselves up in a really, really good position as we get into that part of the schedule.
And I'll say this too. I mean, the one thing that there's a lot of things that I really like about this team, and we've written about it all season, especially over this now 6-game winning streak. But the thing that I love about this team is I think back to that like 2022-23 team for NC State, the team that went, that was actually really good throughout the season, beat UNC at home, had DJ Burns on that team. You also had obviously the leaders of that team were Jarkel Joyner and Terquavion Smith, Casey Morsell kind of dealing with injuries throughout that season, but Terquavion Smith, a breakout season for him. Or actually I take that back. That was the year prior. Casey Morsell was actually healthy that season too. But it did feel like if you were able to take away either Terquavion Smith or Jarkel Joyner from a scoring standpoint, that you could probably win that game. This team doesn't feel like that at all. Like if you take away, again, Quadir Copeland, Tre Holloman identify pretty early on, all right, they're trying to take Darian Williams out of this game. They're not going to allow him to score with ease. They're not going to let him get to his spots to score. It's going to be on us. And they took it on their shoulders. He finished with only 4 points in this game. 1 of 9 overall shooting, 1 of 6 from 3-point range. But, again, continues to do things that win you games. Didn't turn the ball over a ton. Did have 1 assist to 2 turnovers, but 5 rebounds, a block, a steal. Finished with a plus 16 in 31 minutes. That's the best on the entire, on NC State's team, on the entire court all day long. Just, again, I think people have joked about it a little bit and said, oh, Will Wade said he affects winning and you don't see it on a consistent basis. I mean, he does affect winning. Like when he's out there, whether it's on the defensive end, it's on the offensive end, he finds ways to get things done and makes life more difficult for other people. Also, again, like the gravity that he pulls to him, we've seen it a couple times with Paul McNeel. Paul might not have big games, might not have a big game, but you go back and watch it. You watch the way that people cheat off of him, and it allows, for a Darian Williams to get open. If that happens with Darian Williams, Paul McNeel gets open. If he hits a big shot, you just gave your teammate 3 points by just drawing attention away from him. So that to me, I think is we're watching the game and we're going, oh, he's 1 of 9. It's terrible. But really, I mean, again, that's another big game from him. I just wanted to get your thoughts on his impact in this game too.
He's just such a smart basketball player. He's always in the right place at the right time. And kind of touching on, like you said, with the balance of this NC State team, I'd have to go back and look because that team, when TJ Warren was a freshman, had a lot of talent on it. But when's the last time NC State's 6th leading scorer was as talented as Matthew Abel?
I don't know. Maybe that team.
Maybe that's probably it. It was probably
TJ Warren was. I don't think Mark.
I don't think he was the 6th man on that team, but I don't think he was the 6th leading scorer.
I don't think that Mark Godfrey drew up a single play for TJ Warren that season.
No, maybe cut to the ball, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So with that said, like this team has real balance. They have multiple playmakers. Darian is one of those guys that can be your primary playmaker for others, or can go get you 30. The shot didn't fall, but like the entire game, I watched the entire game. I watched him miss all 8 shots, and I never thought he played bad. Like the kid is just so freaking good and smart. Held it down on the glass in the first half, had 5 rebounds in the first half. All 5 of his rebounds were in the first half. Didn't play crazy minutes in the second because they kind of found a groove with him out off the court. But yeah, and he's going to be fine. Like we saw, he just had 3 straight, I think 20, 25 point games. So yeah. He's a great basketball player, and NC State is very, very lucky to have him.
Yeah, I'd say that team. You asked the question. I wanted to go back. I'm looking at the 2012, 2013 team. Their 6th leading scorer actually was Rodney Purvis. So, I mean, eventually ends up transferring.
Comparable, yeah. But Rodney Purvis had at least a pot of coffee in the NBA, more than a cup, and Matthew Abel's on track to do that or better. That's similar. That's a similar type of team, and I don't think that team, the product wasn't nearly as consistent night to night.
Oh yeah,
but we don't need revisionist history today.
No.
So
no. But hey, Rodney Purvis also, if Matt Abel has a transition dunk the way that Rodney Purvis did against Duke inside of Lenovo Center in a few weeks, he might, lift his People don't remember Rodney Purvis for what he did as a
people were so sour that the hometown kid left and ended up moving on. It ended up being the right move for him too, because it got.
But no one will ever forget that moment.
No, and he had a lot of great moments for that team as a freshman. So yeah, But Matthew Abel has stacked a lot of good moments, and he is definitely the most talented sixth best player on NC State in over a decade. So
yeah. And some might argue it's Terrence Arsenault. I mean, not scoring wise, but
and that's the other thing I was going to say.
Defensive wise too.
I don't know if he's scored in double figures yet this year. He might have. He definitely has at some point in his career at Houston.
Yeah.
NC State has 8 guys that can go get you double figures in a high major game, and there aren't a lot of teams that can say that. And you wouldn't really be all that surprised if any of them did it. Maybe Musa or Terrence at this point, but you wouldn't be all that shocked if Terrence found a way to put up 13 or so. So yeah, they have a lot of different weapons that can go get it.
Yeah. Alan Breed's done it in the past too. Did it at
yes, you have 9
against a high major team in Alabama. So I'm just throwing that out there. We haven't seen him in a while, and look, Will's talked about it a couple times, so I'm not going to rehash that. But I don't want to get too far off topic here because it's a big win. But he has said, Alan Breed is still an option. He's still healthy. It's just a matter of making sure that we this is our rotation right now. We're winning this with this rotation. Why would you change things? But we'll see if there's eventually a role for him. There probably will have to be once you get into the ACC tournament.
We'll see him again. Yeah, we'll see him again.
Oh, yeah. All right. Last thing here before we wrap this thing up, I do want to kind of look ahead to Louisville. Obviously, Louisville, a team with a ton of firepower. The guard play for them has been absurdly good this year. A bunch of guys, we talked about the three-point shooting, like the volume that some of their players take at three-point range. Might not be the most efficient team in the ACC like NC State is, but they are a team that is going to live and die by the three, but also has some physicality inside too on the defensive end and on the offensive end. Just your thoughts on that matchup and how big of a deal that is. And I mean, you talked about earlier, like the smart decision by NC State to fly out today, go ahead and be there for 48 hours to fully prepare for this game and not feel like, all right, you're rushed and you can't be ready for this one.
Yeah, Pat Kelsey's style is so frenetic and so high volume from three. They could be 1 for 17 from three, and they're running plays to shoot more. Like that's what they do. And then I think Mikel Brown being out put their season in kind of a bit of a limbo for a second there, more so from just is he gonna come back? How do we kind of maneuver this? Now that he's back, they struggled against Duke. Had a really, really strong win, kind of a similar win to NC State's, not quite as close, but against SMU at home last Saturday. Then they beat Wake today. It's going to be an interesting matchup and one that NC State has to operate with that attention to detail because of the way Louisville shoots the threes in volume and they can get hot. But Louisville is also similar in NC State to where you can put up a quick run on Louisville. You can swing that momentum against them and find a way to score. In bunches. So it'll be a very, very interesting game. I'm sure the environment is going to be rowdy. NC State will probably find themselves in the top 25. Louisville also will probably find themselves back in the top 25 as they sit at 24 right now. It should be a big-time matchup and one that both of these teams have kind of worked towards. And it's really a pendulum swinging thing probably more for Louisville than NC State, but a big game nonetheless and one that's going to have the attention of really the whole country on Monday night.
Yeah, and if there's one promising thing for NC State, at least for the players, they shouldn't have to run leading up to this game. At practice, they shouldn't have to do because they did win this one. They didn't win the rebounding battle. Like going over the 5 goals here, I don't know what the 5th one was. I don't think anybody actually asked Will about that, but they didn't win the rebounding battle. They lose that 35-30, but they're competitive there. 12 or less turnovers. NC State only had 11. 40 deflections. I'm going to assume they got 40 deflections in this game, especially the way the defense was playing. And then 3 stops in a row, 5 times or more. I'm looking at the missed shots. They forced 4+ missed shots 5 different times in this game. And one time Virginia Tech missed 10 straight shots. Yep. So I'm going to assume that there was at least 5 turkeys in there for NC State. So I'm guessing they got over the halfway. You need to hit at least 3 of the goals out of 5 to not have to run. So I'm guessing they met the standard today, but
I feel like on a 24, 48-hour turnaround, you delay the run.
Yeah.
You delay the run. You compound the Louisville and Virginia Tech run if they apply, and you handle that on Tuesday when you get back home, if I had to guess.
Yeah. I don't think they should have to run, though. I don't know what the 5th goal was, but I'm pretty sure they hit 3 of them in this one. So
that's big for them.
Yeah. It's big for the players because you don't have to hear crap about it for the next 48 hours too. You can just kind of, all right, we won this game. Let's
grab a bite to eat, get on the plane, settle in, get to work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will say this. I mean, Clemson on the road was tough because Clemson is such a good defensive team. And obviously SMU had some firepower, but they're not as loaded of a team. This Louisville game is going to be the first, to me, the biggest test on the road for NC State, probably this season, I would think. Outside of maybe the Auburn game back in non-conference. This one, to me, is the toughest one in conference on the road for NC State. So trying to get to 7-0, trying to stretch to a 7-game winning streak. We'll see if NC State is able to do it. This might, dare I say, it might be a ranked matchup.
I think it is going to be a ranked matchup. I don't see Louisville dropping out of the rankings after not losing, and feels like NC State after the 2 wins this week are going to be in the top 25 coming up.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of conversation about the fact that one triangle team in light blue happens to be inside the rankings, and NC State is actually.
I don't know why people continue to conversate about this. Like it's been the same conversation every time it happens. Everybody knows what it is.
I'm just saying, like, NC State happens to be better in the net, happens to be better in the KenPom rankings, happens to be better all across the board. All the analytics say that NC State should be the better team. Now, granted, it's helped by the fact that you won the game on Tuesday. The AP rankings came out before that, so that certainly contributes here. But NC State, I think, has put themselves in good position to be inside the top 25. Now it's about living up to those expectations, going out on the road. Louisville's going to be the toughest matchup that they face again on the road in ACC play. Maybe one of the toughest matchups they faced in the ACC in general up until this point too.
For sure. Now, it really is lining up to a real grudge match here in Raleigh in a few weeks, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You have the Vinal Lubin versus his old team.
It's going to be a great game.
That he doesn't like Hubert Davis because he misused him. So there's
two like, let's just call it what it is, very similar level teams. These teams have been like neck and neck all season in all the metric ratings, similar type of wins. Yeah, it's going to be very, very, very interesting. I'm excited. They have their hands full tonight. It's going to be a great game tonight too. I can't wait.
There's another game tonight?
Yeah, there is. Sorry, guys. It's going to be fun. I'm a basketball guy.
I know. I'm joking, dude. I'm joking. All right. Well, Miles, I appreciate you for jumping on as always, man. Thank you for taking my place out there today.
For sure. Real quick before we go, I'm just going to make sure that this, so just so everybody sees, this is going to go in the bag and it's not leaving because we had issues in the past. There will be no more issues further. It is safe and sound and ready for you whenever we meet in the next week or so. So yeah.
Yes. Oh, last thing for real though, for people interested in basketball recruiting in the state of North Carolina, where can they find your most recent work too?
Oh yeah, go to prephoops.com and find the coverage North Carolina. I've taken that project over in the last 2 months in the midst of my busiest season, but have been plugging away on content. I think I've written 85 articles in 3 months. With that said, the rankings are about to drop, so be ready. You will not find a more authentic and true state ranking coming up here. I think the 26s will come out end of next week. So, yeah, I appreciate the shout out on that, Corey. And then, excited for the conference play to keep going.
I'll have to let my guys know. I'll let Branham know that you said those are the most authentic state rankings.
Branham knows he can call me.
I know. Yes. He really wanted to be at the wall a few weeks ago, and then I think something was happening. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. So, all right. Well,
I love our 247 crew. Bossy, and Branham and Fink all know.
Yes,
and exactly. Deshaun and everybody. So yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, for Miles, this is Cory Smith signing off for this postgame podcast. Yet another NC State win, 82-73 over Virginia Tech. Moved to 6-0 in the last 6 games for NC State. We will talk to you guys very soon. We'll have content leading up to Louisville. Thank you guys to everybody for listening. We will talk to you again soon.